The largest tiger to ever exist wasn't the Siberian tiger. Tigers are iconic beasts that combine beauty and brutality in a way that is unmatched in nature. These ancient predators reign as undisputed kings wherever they roam, and their almost ethereal presence puts their subjects in a perpetual state of fear. In today's video, we'll be focusing on the real Tiger King. Sorry, Joe Exotic. An animal that was much larger and more dangerous than the Bengal and Siberian tigers today. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the Nandong Tiger of Indonesia. Lost King. The Pleistocene epoch, better known as the Ice Age, was a prehistoric period characterized by some of the most amazing animals to ever walk the earth. From giant mammoths and woolly rhinos to sloths the size of minivans, as well as our early hominid ancestors, the Pleistocene was teeming with life. It was also a golden age for predators of all shapes and sizes, whose food options were rich and diverse. Of course, given the sheer quantity of mega herbivores roaming around at the time, there was a decent number of mega predators lurking and looking to eat them. Chief among these super predators were the big cats, which ranged from the iconic saber-toothed cats to the ultra-huge American lion and elusive European cave lions. Naturally, Asia also had more than its fair share of large cats during this time. However, one particularly large species is almost always excluded from conversations about prehistoric super cats, the Nandong Tiger. Of course, the main reason few people ever talk about this long-extinct animal is because we don't know much about it and have very little to go on apart from a few debatable fossils. This tiger once roamed and ruled Indonesia's Sundaland region during the Pleistocene. Most of its fossils have been found near the village of Ngandong, hence the animal's common name. The first fossils were dug up by Dutch paleontologists in the early 20th century. At first, there were debates about what this animal actually was, with some paleontologists arguing that it was a standalone big cat species, given that the remains indicated an animal substantially larger than the local Java tigers. However, further analysis of the fossils eventually led to a revision of the animal's classification. This was a new, previously undocumented tiger species. The Nandong tiger was then given the scientific name Panthera tigris soloensis. It turns out that the bones of this tiger were also bigger than those of India's Bengal tiger and Siberia's Amur tiger, the largest cats in the world today. In fact, analysis of the bones suggests the Nandong tigers were up to 25% larger than their Siberian cousins, which would make them the largest true tigers of all time. The upper estimates for the tiger's size are generally around the 800 to 900 pound range, which is enormous and up there with the largest cats ever. If the subspecies was anything like other tigers, males would have been significantly larger than females. Typically, females are about 2/3 the size of males. The tiger measured almost 4 feet at the shoulder and was about 13 feet 6 inches from the nose to the tip of the tail. With such dimensions, the Nandong would have been in the same weight class as two other prominent Pleistocene cats, the American lion and the Smilodon populator. The American lion, Panthera atrox, is widely believed to have been the largest cat of all time. It could reach 3.9 feet at the shoulder and up to 8 feet 2 inches from the tip of its nose to the base of its tail. Maximum weight for males is estimated at 1,150 pounds, while females topped out at 805 pounds. Smilodon populator was the largest of all the saber-toothed cats. Sometimes erroneously called the saber-toothed tiger, this beast was no true tiger nor even a panthera. Having diverged from the smaller Smilodon fatalis, populator moved to South America, where it reigned as an apex predator until its extinction 10,000 years ago. Size estimates give this saber-tooth a maximum weight of around 960 pounds, as well as a max shoulder height of 3.9 feet and a body length of 6.8 feet. These two great American cats were especially powerful and ruthless predators who hunted pretty much what they wanted, including humans. They specialized in hunting large herbivores like camelids, horses, bison, mammoths, mastodons, and more. An increasing number of scientists believe these two may have lived in groups, which would have been a major help in bringing down large prey. The Nandong tiger, however, was probably not a social cat. Like other tigers, it was a solitary animal that relied on its own skills, cunning, and power. Individuals would have established territories that they enforced against same-sex rivals. Male tigers likely had territories that overlapped with the territories of several females, just like tigers today. Given its home range and the time in which it lived, the tiger was certainly a strong and versatile killer. Its prey would have included anything or anyone unlucky enough to get caught in its considerable clutches. If we look at the kind of animals that live or lived in Indonesia, we can confidently say the tiger ate everything from fish to juvenile elephants. Deer, monkeys, tapirs, and boar were likely staples, as were wild bovids like buffalo, anoa, and banteng. Mega herbivores like Asian elephants and the elephant-like stegodon were also on the menu, particularly before they reached full size. Asian rhinoceroses were also a dangerous treat. The massive Nandong cat was doubtlessly a dominant apex predator where it lived. As such, it would have bullied other carnivores and preyed on them too. Leopards, bears, dholes, and crocodiles were not safe from this super cat. Little is known about how it related to other tiger subspecies in the region, but it's safe to assume that it wasn't overly friendly. The Javan tiger, for instance, was one of the smaller tiger subspecies, so it wouldn't be surprising if an unfortunate few were killed and cannibalized by the Nandong monsters. Despite its massive size, the Nandong tiger was a supreme athlete, with power and finesse in spades. Like all tigers, it was a sneaky ambush killer, using its iconic stripes to blend into the jungle's shadows while stalking. Victims were chosen by proximity and any apparent weaknesses: injury, illness, old age, young age, or simple inattentiveness. When the tiger was in a decent striking position, it would explode out of cover and pounce on the victim or engage in a brief pursuit. Modern-day Bengal tigers can hit a top speed of 40 miles per hour in short bursts. They can leap distances of 30 feet without breaking a sweat, or jump 20 feet straight in the air. Given its great bulk, the Nandong tiger was likely a little slower than its smaller kin. However, because it had more muscle mass than other tigers, its jumping capabilities would have been no less impressive. Speaking of muscle, the Nandong tiger was certainly an incredibly powerful cat. Unlike lions that often have backup, tigers have to be strong enough to bring down large prey by themselves. This is why tigers have a greater proportion of muscle mass and lower body fat percentages than lions. The Nandong tiger was the absolute peak of tiger power. Given its strength and size, it could easily wrestle water buffaloes or tapirs to the ground with relentless force. Once a victim was overpowered, the tiger would go for the kill move. For large animals, the tiger would bite down on the windpipe to cut off circulation, essentially choking them to death. For small animals, the tiger would simply crush the neck, skull, or both. A Nandong tiger feast would have been one heck of a sight. Tigers are well known for their voracious appetites, and they can consume 20% of their body weight in one sitting. Based on such numbers, the Nandong tiger could eat as much as 180 pounds of meat in one meal. In other words, these animals could eat a man's weight in flesh. And speaking of man, there is a very good chance that the tiger crossed paths with early and archaic humans. One prominent example is the Solo man, also known as Homo erectus soloensis. This subspecies of Homo erectus dwelled along Java's Solo River between 117,000 and 108,000 years ago, which is a fairly brief time. The Solo man was well versed in simple tool making and use. Stone flakes and choppers, as well as rudimentary spears and bone weapons, were key parts of their inventory. Of course, weapons were a must if one was to live a long, fruitful life in jungles teeming with 900-pound tigers. They were probably effective too, especially if the Solo men managed to gang up on one. However, the cat's stealth and camouflage probably made exposing and cornering them incredibly difficult. What's more likely is that tigers occasionally picked the Solo men off, one by one. At less than 200 pounds, The early humans were practically monkeys to the great cats, who would crush their necks like nothing at all. Modern solo man fossil sites are characterized by skulls missing the rest of their skeletons, a telltale sign of tiger predation. Tigers tend to ignore the skulls of their victims because of the low meat content. However, humans would ultimately get the last laugh on the tiger. The early Homo sapiens, who succeeded the Erectus humans, had more refined weapons and strategies to finally wrestle apex predator status from this fearsome feline. Overhunting, habitat destruction, and the subsequent isolation of breeding-age cats ultimately proved their undoing. The Nandong tiger likely found itself in direct food competition with humans, while other wild predators outcompeted it for prey that was too small for its needs anyway. By 12,000 years ago, the Nandong tiger, the true tiger king, was gone forever, marking the start of the dramatic decline of tigers we're still experiencing today.